Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ask the CEO with Avrohom. Today, I'd like to introduce a very special guest. He's a senior technical staff member at IBM supporting power systems and hybrid multi-cloud solutions. It is my pleasure to welcome Joe Cropper. Welcome, Joe.
Hey, Avrohom. Really glad to be here with you today.
Really glad having you. I'm really excited to be speaking to you about hybrid multi-cloud and IT infrastructure solutions. And, it's kind of interesting because, when we think about infrastructure, we think about servers and all the IT components. But, it's so interesting. We were just chatting about the weather and what's going on in Texas. And it sounds like, in your hometown, they actually needed an infrastructure upgrade.
Yeah. As you said, I'm down in Austin, Texas, and we've had a pretty mild winter up until last week. And a lot of the infrastructure here just couldn't keep up with it. So I guess I needed to invest in my on-prem infrastructure a bit to keep up with the extremes there. Absolutely.
Yeah, because the cloud surely wasn't forgiving this time.
Yeah, no, it was not. It certainly was not. There was a lot of stuff coming from the cloud.
So, this is a great segue to our topic for discussion. So the global pandemic put our current IT infrastructure to the test. It highlighted the fact that now more than ever, we need to prioritize infrastructure refreshes. Now, IBM just published the findings of an IT infrastructure study conducted by Forrester Consulting, which addresses this topic in great detail. What challenges are you witnessing as businesses determine where to invest? And do you have any tips to overcome them?
Yeah, that's actually very reflective of what I hear continuously as I'm talking with clients. That's really independent of geography or industry vertical. I think the reality is that clients with our new reality is that they've been really pressed, Avrohom, to take a look at their, IT investment strategies and really, accelerate their digital transformation efforts. And I think the biggest things that I've witnessed are companies are really trying to figure out, where to invest, how they can get that competitive edge to accelerate what they're doing. And I think there's so many avenues. And I think that's one of the biggest things is the sheer number of things to explore, whether that's public cloud, private cloud, automation, cloud native, infrastructure composition, so many things. And people are really trying to figure out what they can do and where to invest. And the things that where we've really seen clients excel in this space are people, that have found a way to strike that healthy balance between all of these initiatives. And I think it's really imperative that we've seen many of our clients really trying to embrace this, hybrid strategy and give them that flexibility. I mean, certainly public cloud is helping, but we need to be able to have a good, strong on-prem, infrastructure and refresh cycles, et cetera, there. And so I think, if clients along the way, that as we've been helping them, we've got a number of people too that can engage from, say, the IBM Garage teams, which is a worldwide set of experts that can help people, figure out how to strike that healthy balance going forward. We've seen it actually help many clients in these dire times. Help them get from where they're at today to where they want to go with their enterprise.
Yeah, and it's so true because there has been such a push to talk about the cloud and public cloud, and as you said, there's so many different components, and right. It's really about getting that balance and understanding what is right for you, and there really isn't a one size fits all solution.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you need to kind of strike that healthy balance of what you're doing on premises, again, what you're doing in the public cloud. Certainly, there's a lot of benefits there. And again, finding that balance really is key.
Yeah. So, let's talk a little bit about that. Going back to the Forrester study. So the Forrester Consulting study talks about some of the inherent challenges with public cloud, where 46% of those surveyed stated that public cloud doesn't meet security needs, and 56% of those surveyed stated that data resiliency is challenging for certain applications. What are you seeing in the market with your clients?
Yeah, I mean, public cloud was originally viewed as the place to go for quick access to resources and flexible OPEX style pricing, data center consolidation, getting more advanced automation capabilities. And certainly public cloud remains to be, a key ingredient of people's enterprise strategies. But what we're witnessing here and what we've been doing with our IBM systems technologies as well is we're taking a lot of those concepts and capabilities that were once thought of only with public cloud, and we're bringing those, with major advances to on-prem infrastructure. So for example, we've actually started to provide some capabilities where clients can have that attractive OPEX style pricing on premises as well, because there's a number of concerns when you think about data sovereignty and privacy and so on and so forth. There's a lot of things that people need to really consider when they're making these decisions. So another thing that we've done sort of in that same vein is, again, and this is something called Power Private Cloud with Dynamic Capacity. So cloud isn't necessarily, Avrohom, just a place. I can bring those set of capabilities and behaviors back to my on-prem infrastructure. And so, if you think of this flexible pay per use spending paired with technologies like Red Hat OpenShift for application modernization initiatives, Red Hat Ansible for things like enterprise automation, I can get a lot of those same characteristics and traits again that many people were thinking were only available in public cloud contexts, and bring those right at home, if you will, to my on-prem private cloud data center. So we're seeing a lot of great success in that, and a lot of clients very excited about having a good balance between those two on-prem and off-prem solutions.
That's actually really interesting because the reason why cloud became so popular is because of that pay-per-use pricing. So, I find that actually like a very creative way to leverage that same pricing model for the on-prem solution.
Yeah, and I'll just tell you, we've gotten some great success with that because, like you said, that was one of the key things that drew people to the cloud. And now that we've taken some of those benefits and behaviors and brought them back on premises, people can enjoy the flexibility of making that upfront initial investment, say in some base line of infrastructure, and then have variable use pay beyond that, and kind of get a more utility-based pricing model to handle those unexpected, peaks and demands, et cetera, that can happen. So, absolutely. And there's, a lot of people have been very excited about those capabilities.
Yeah, and then you also address security and data privacy as well.
Absolutely.
So, let's talk a little bit about security and vulnerabilities, and sort of going back to the way we opened up our conversation, about infrastructure refreshes. Let's also talk about factors such as cybersecurity, compatibility, and availability. So in the Forrester Consulting study, 70% of businesses surveyed delayed an infrastructure refresh more than once within the last 5 years. And I get it, budgets are tight. It's really hard, especially this past year. What kinds of risks are businesses taking with this delay?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that, IT decision makers are, faced with all the time. I think technology evolves at such a fast pace. We're always making major advances as an industry in areas like security, data encryption, business continuity, automation, all of these domains and countless others. And I think that the key thing that people need to keep in mind is that, infrastructure currency is absolutely a necessity when it comes to, maintaining a good, healthy posture for security. As an example, using some of our technology with the new, IBM systems platforms, you can protect your data, whether that's on-prem or in flight, and run up to 19 billion, so billion with a B, fully encrypted transactions per day. I mean, that's something it's a capability that's offered on the latest advances of hardware. Previous generations, while they were rock solid as well, just couldn't keep up with that. And if you think of where we're seeing more and more people look to, online transactions, again, now more than ever, that people aren't, going out and shopping in, brick and mortar stores, not nearly as much as they were before. I mean, all of that's been, accelerated with just the reality of how the world is these days. I think the other thing that's important is that developers continue to innovate at unprecedented rates. And you think of the explosions in open source technology, the new ways of building applications. They need to have that solid infrastructure that can keep up with the innovations that they're doing. You want to make sure that you don't stifle your enterprise innovation. And so making sure that people can, have that speed and agility they're looking for, and doing so in a safe and secure manner, I think are paramount. And these were just a couple of examples, I think, that help highlight why that is so fundamentally important to the enterprise.
For sure, from a capability standpoint, I mean, we're talking about having a competitive edge, because if your competitors are upgrading their infrastructure and you're not, well, that's pretty much black and white right there. Can you talk a little bit to the security aspect? There are data breaches happening every day, ransomware, and all sorts of cyber attacks going on. What kind of risks are businesses taking from a cybersecurity standpoint by delaying these refreshes?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, there's not a day almost that goes by where you can't pull up your favorite online article or source of information here, and you're reading about
breach du jour.
Yeah, exactly. There are so many things that are happening, and that's why I think it's fundamental when you think about all of the encrypting data in flight, when its data is at rest, everywhere in between. Making sure that we are fully encrypting and protecting that data throughout the full life cycle, everywhere from when our developers start building new applications to creating the building of those, and then when the applications are running, and rinsing and repeating that cycle. And I think that's where having a solid, tested, proven infrastructure that's at the heart of your data center for compute, for storage, for networking, all of the above, it's critical. And if you think about the investment it takes to keep an infrastructure running the latest and greatest, and you compare that to the cost of a breach from your end users, or what it could mean to your business or your brand, they're orders of magnitude not even comparable. So investing in a solid infrastructure is the right answer all the time when you compare that to the alternatives. Nobody wants to see that, and it's a big deal. And so we want to make sure that we can do everything to keep businesses and ultimately our end users safe.
So fortunately, we have the study that people can reference in order to help guide them on the different components of maintaining their infrastructure. So where can people go to learn more about the 2021 Forrester Consulting Thought Leadership paper commissioned by IBM?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, folks can head over to ibm.biz/AskTheCEO Forrester Study 2021, all lowercase. So folks can head over there, take a look at it. You'll be able to download the study, watch an on-demand webinar, check out a blog recap with a subject matter expert, and really take a look at a ton of other hybrid cloud resources. So be sure to go check that out when you get a spare moment.
Great. And I'm going to post a link to the show notes. So, if you're listening to this right now and you're driving, you don't have to quickly pull over the side of the road and write it down. You can just click on it and get right to it. Joe, how do people connect with you?
Yeah, great question. So I'm available on the LinkedIn platform. I'm always up for having new folks reach out and connect up and have a great conversation about technology, what's happening in the world. So yeah, if you're listening and you want to connect up and talk about any topic, feel free to come find me on LinkedIn.
Wonderful. And I'm going to post that as well so people can get to you. Joe, do you have any parting words of wisdom that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, Avrohom. So I think in general, we're at such an exciting juncture in the technology and frankly in the world right now. I think with all of the advancements in cloud computing, cloud native development, you think of everything that's happening with containers, major advances in AI, the point at which companies now more than ever need to accelerate how they engage with people in new ways, new digital ways. These have certainly created a lot of questions, in terms of, as technologists, how do we adopt these technologies, when to adopt, at what rate and pace do we adopt? And I think ultimately it creates a huge opportunity for us as a collective ecosystem to really seize the moment, embrace these technologies, regardless of what industry you're in, and really find a way how to capitalize on this and create just fantastic user experiences and make the world a better place. And I with that, I really wanted to take a moment here and thank everybody for listening to us today, especially you, Avrohom, as well, for giving a great platform here, for hosting me today. And it's really been such a pleasure having the conversation. I look forward to next time.
Wonderful. Joe, thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom. I really enjoyed having you on the show.
Thanks a lot.